India, in Kerala, you had a public life in which you were involved. It was not that like the usual education that a student gets, that you are an MBBS student, you pass out, then you were a student leader at that time. So naturally, and you led one of the most successful strikes at that time. Like when the government decided to introduce like some sort of surgery for
mixopathy, and they were trying to mix up all the systems of medicine.
So at that time, you led a great strike, and then you were completely in the limelight. So I think you got used to the feeling, that you can do something, that you have to do something. You should start from the, you should be at the helm. If you are not a leader, then you can't. So it could be because of that, like you went to States, you went to Geneva, you went to all these places, and then always you felt like coming back. Your roots are very strong.
That's what I want to tell others also. I would encourage people who want to go outside India or outside Kerala. People should try things outside. They should spend some years and come back. But when you just have just finished your degree, in your early 20s, you go to another country, then you settle there, then you are completely into that kind of scenario or that kind of environment. Then you don't want to come back because you are not experienced what is happening here as a student. But I spent many years as a doctor in Kerala and India, and I really understood what is the problem here. And after that, you go outside, you see a lot of solutions, problems as well as solutions. Innovative solutions outside your country. Then you can compare with your problems in your country, then you can think of solutions and come back and implement some part of it. That's because I practice my profession here. Whether I am an engineer or a doctor or some other person, if you have experienced the issues or the problems in your country, then you can come back. Other students who just finish your degree and go outside and work in those countries, you see only their problems. You are not exposed to the the problems of your own country.
But even before, if you look at the history, see most of the people who led the freedom fight, like Nehru, Gandhi, then Aurobindo, all these people, they went to London. They learned, the basics of freedom there. And it was they who came back, and it was the people who had this exposure that could lead the freedom movement. So it was like, you move out, learn what it is to be learned, you understand, and then you come and apply certain things in India so that, India changes. I think if you look at the freedom movement, it becomes very obvious. All the people who led the movement from the front, all of them were highly educated, and all of them were exposed to the European culture. So I think in your case also that is what is happening. I think you got exposed to this Western culture. You understood the merits of the Western culture. You understood what we are lacking, and you are back in India because so that you can try to rectify that. Though things have changed a lot in India, but still you feel there are a lot of things to be done.
There are a lot of things. I see. I wouldn't say that I want to change India or Kerala or anything, but I want to be part of that change. So in another interview also I told, it came naturally. I said, I don't want to say that I am going to come back and change a lot of things. It's not easy. You can be part of the change, but what I can bring is that I have changed. It's not the same me who have come back, who has come back. See, in 2003 when I left Kerala, it was a different law. And when I left India in 2007 also, it was a different law. When I come back in 2020, I've undergone a lot of changes. So that's what I can offer.
That is, that is a great thing, because you see, even when I look at you, what you were in 2004, 2005, or what you were when you came to Delhi for the first time, you have grown in your confidence, and more than that, your attitude to a lot of things have changed. That I think is one of the most important things, because right now, like you have told me that in the West, especially when you were in Geneva, I have heard that women are so liberated. their ideas about sex, all these things are completely, we simply cannot think of that. I have found you have told me that once that even old women go to pawn shops, take so that kind of the way the women, the attitude of the women, and the way we look at women has completely changed.
Very different. It's very different.
In fact, when we compare the Western world with India, at that time, I think we have a lot of things to be done, especially people like you who have got that exposure. You have got a lot of things to be done so that, the women's role becomes more dominant. See, it's not like in Kerala, it is much better. And among educated people also, it's much better. You don't find people beating around their wives among the educated people. You find that only among, the laymen. But then that change can come only, when people like you come and tell that this is not to be done. Because you see, even in a very educated state like Kerala, if I am married or if I have a wife, my wife is supposed to do the coffee. If I have a guest, I sit there and tell my wife, okay, you make the coffee, please make the coffee. I don't go and make the coffee. But in states, if you have a friend, if your wife's friend has come, it is you who go and makes a coffee. So that kind of equality, it's the equality that is not just talk.
Even though we practice such things in educated communities, in Kerala, but Delhi, I saw that difference. Men also take part in cooking and all, especially in cities. Timor was different, but women, they work a lot and they run their homes and all. But Timor, Geneva, it was really again a cultural shock. So of course we had progressive thoughts and all, but one of the my colleagues who joined around the same time I joined, she came from US. So, and she said, we became good friends, and she said her husband is there, kids are there, and naturally I asked her, what is your husband doing? She said he is doing babysitting. So when I asked about him, he's super qualified and IT engineer, and he was having a big job in the US. But when she liked this job and she wanted to move to Switzerland, he said, okay, next few years I'll do the babysitting. I couldn't believe, Indian men, we don't do that. Very rarely people will be doing, but especially when we live in India, we don't do that. So this became a practice. Initially it was kind of a shock for me. Then it became a norm for many people were like that. And in Geneva also, in many, after leaving Geneva, when I went to US also, all these places, my bosses were women. And after living in Geneva for a few years, honestly I can say that I started forgetting when I meet a person, I don't think whether that person is male or female. That also disappeared from my mind. I started looking at that person as a human being, not men or women, because we also make small mistakes. So when you got corrected, and then you start practicing or looking at the person as a human being, not as a man or woman. That starts. And a lot of similar experiences in Geneva. And see, we always say that we are the biggest democracy and we are democratic in everything, small thing. But in certain small things also, we are not very democratic. For example, in Geneva, we were 650 staff in the Global Fund. Not even a single person had a room. All of us were using these workstations. Of course, the building, when this organization moved that building, there were so many rooms. So because of that, people were using rooms. When they moved to a new building of their own, there was not even a single room. Everyone sits and uses workspaces. Not even cubicles. Everyone has a table and a computer. In the US also, the organization PATH, which recruited me for the first time in the US, there also the president doesn't have a room. He also has a workstation. Which I tried to practice when I came back to India. I have this office. The first thing I decided to do that was not to have a room. Sit with people and use a workstation or a table where everyone is equal. So these things, so democracy we call it. So in India, even small rooms we try to create
Right.
Small office also we
Right,
create rooms
Right, right.
and try to separate from others. And to show we are different from other, we try to show the hierarchy and levels and things like that.
Okay.
So a lot of things to learn from the West also.
Yeah, I have, when we're talking about equality, I've heard that, like, you are not even supposed to ask whose the child is if a woman says that she is pregnant.
Yeah.
I think you must have experienced that. I think, if you.
Yeah, you cannot ask casually people who are whether you are married. No, even for interview, when I interview someone for a job, maybe these days, it is through phone, telephone, Skype, plus many years.
Right.
I cannot ask whether that guy is a male or female or nationality.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
If I ask that question, they can report and I may lose my job.
Oh, okay.
And you cannot ask a colleague, are you married?
Oh.
Like we do in India. We will ask
Okay. We are not
religion,
supposed-
caste, everything. You cannot
okay,
ask.
okay,
If they say, when we become friends, they may say these things, but you cannot ask them some.